I got involved with the Boys Club of New York in 1985 as a trainee at Brown Brothers Harriman right out of college, when one of the young executives gave a presentation to our training class and said, if you are interested in doing any social service work, Brown Brothers Harriman has a close connection to the Boys Club of New York, and there is a program called the Volunteer Group Leaders, which meets for 10 weeks straight on Wednesday night from 6 to 7, and you go to the clubhouse and you work with and play with the boys of the Boys Club of New York. And so I began to do it in the fall of 1985. And I've continued to volunteer there ever since. So the volunteer group club program, or rather the group club program, was a program where boys ages, it depends on which division, but ages 12 to 14 would form a group, name the group, and they would compete against each other in foosball and pool and swimming and basketball through the course of a 10-week cycle. And one of the activities was once a week they would meet with their group club leader. And so that's what I was, a group club leader for 8 seasons. I would say my favorite activity was probably playing pool or foosball, because you're one-on-one or two-on-two with the boys, and it really is very social. So you're talking to them about whatever it is they want to talk about. I also could hold my own in those sports where I was not necessarily able to play with the boys in basketball because they were much better than I was. But so it was mostly foosball and pool, but also we met in a classroom setting and just talked about different topics that we would bring up as well. I was a volunteer starting in 1985, as I said, and then because I did it for a number of years, I was asked if I would serve on the Milliken Clubhouse Committee, which was a committee made up of trustees as well as the management of the Milliken Clubhouse. Milliken Clubhouse is, we no longer have, that was on Pitt Street, and we sold that years ago as our membership reduced given just gentrification on the Lower East Side. But they asked me to serve as a volunteer representative to the Milliken Clubhouse Committee, and which I loved doing because you got to understand how the clubhouse worked and how much it cost to pay the staff and to get the supplies to support the programming that we did. And through that experience, I was able to meet a lot of trustees. And so a year later, they asked me if I'd be interested in joining the board, which I joined, I believe, in 1990. Well, I've at one time or another been on most of the committees of the Boys Club of New York. So I served as the assistant treasurer and the treasurer, which put me on the finance committee. I also have been on the executive committee. I'm now ex officio on the investment committee. I've been on the committee on trustees for many, many years. So just about every committee that we have of the board, I've been on at one time or another. Well, that's a very good question. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't look it up when I became president, but I took over the role for Ed Rappa, who who was president for many years and was also unique in that he was the first president of the Boys Club to have himself been a boy member of the Boy Scout of New York, but I took over for him. It must be 6 or 7 years ago. What I like about being the president of the Board of Trustees is being able to basically participate in all of its activities and to help in the planning, to help out in the fundraising, to participate in its various special events, to try to encourage others to become involved with the Boy Scout of New York. It's just one of those things where the position provides the opportunity to leave a mark on an organization, and I think that's a great privilege to be in a position where you can hopefully make a positive impact on a great organization like the Boy Scout of New York. Boy, I mean, I think that I have lots of favorite activities. One of them, which I've never been, is and this is something that our women's board members are famous for doing, but there's the homework help program, and where we provide a little extra help for our and structure for our boys to come back up to grade level in their studies, or actually to exceed grade level and excel in school. I think that's always a great activity to watch. Any of the sports activities, the swimming, the basketball in particular, I love. And we also have some fun activities like when we do a bake-off competition, or when we provide suits and neckties for our older boys who are getting to the age where they're beginning to go onto interviews to get jobs or internships. Those activities are always a lot of fun to participate in. And in terms of participation, we oftentimes do a Thanksgiving dinner, and that's a great joy to be a part of that. Well, I think that we're at a bit of a crossroads right now. We've spent a lot of the last several years analyzing the usage of our facilities and trying to get to the point where we have a strong financial base from which to expand our programs. We're there now, and we're kicking off an initiative led by Stephen to identify areas within New York City, within the New York City limits, where we can either partner with another organization or establish on our own a new site to build a clubhouse. And that to me is the most exciting thing we can do, is to expand our programs to areas where the local boys are not being served the way that they should. I remember very well when we did it, when we expanded into Flushing, Queens years ago with the Abbey Clubhouse. And I'm looking forward to doing that same kind of thing into either Brooklyn or the Bronx. And we're working very hard and have organized a task force to look into that. One of the things that I didn't mention before, which I'm particularly proud of, and I shouldn't be proud of it. There are a number of people who really caused it to happen. One of them in particular, Gigi Mortimer. But I'm very, very proud of our new Harriman Base Camp in Harriman State Park, north of New York City. It is a true wilderness camp where our boys can go up and live in indoor-outdoor cabins on the side of a lake, and there's archery and canoeing and swimming and hiking and all those activities that that seem like they're a million miles away from the urban setting of New York City. And so I'm just thrilled with the program that we've built and developed up at Harriman Base Camp.